everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into a question that I think we've all thought about, whether you're a startup or just trying to innovate inside a bigger company.
Yeah.
How do you scale up fast, but, without losing that agility and that customer focus that made you successful in the first place?
Right.
And to help us figure all that out,
Yeah.
we're turning to Eric Ries and part 3 of the Lean Startup, which is called Accelerate.
Yeah. This is a fun section.
Oh, it's so good.
It really is, because this is where we move beyond that initial, will we survive
Right.
phase of a
Right.
startup. And now it's like, okay, assuming we're doing okay. Now, how do we actually really thrive?
How do we take it to the next level?
Yeah, exactly. And what Reese shows us is that scaling isn't just about spending more money or building more features.
Right.
It's not just about getting bigger. It's about growing smarter and doing it in a way that's sustainable.
Okay.
And still true to those core principles of the lean methodology. Yeah.
So it's not about growth for the sake of growth. It's about growing in a way that's sustainable and, keeps that customer focus front and center.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think Dropbox is a perfect example of this. They just exploded in popularity.
They did, yeah.
And a lot of that success can be attributed to their freemium model.
Oh, that's a good point.
So by offering a free version of their product, they basically eliminated any barrier to entry.
Right.
So people could try it out risk-free, see how valuable it was in their own lives, and then decide, hey, I like this enough to upgrade to a paid account.
Yeah. That's such a clever strategy.
Yeah.
It really lets the product speak for itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it turns those users into advocates because they've already had this positive experience with the free version.
Yeah. And to me, that's what Lean is all about. It's about providing value first, and then the growth will follow.
I love that. And that actually ties into something that's been on my mind, this whole idea of staying agile.
Yeah.
As a company gets bigger, it feels like that's one of the first things to go.
You're absolutely right. As companies grow, there's this natural tendency to become more bureaucratic,
Right.
more slow-moving.
Yeah, you get bogged down in process.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Rizzi is so adamant about maintaining an agile approach even as you scale.
Okay, I like that.
You think of agile methodology, think of it like building a house brick by brick.
Okay.
You're constantly testing, getting feedback, adjusting as you go, which means you can be super flexible and respond to changes quickly.
So it's about breaking down work into these manageable chunks and being willing to pivot based on what you learn as you go.
Exactly. And this isn't just for startups.
Right.
Even these big established companies are realizing that they need to be more agile if they want to keep innovating and competing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about scaling with speed and efficiency,
Right.
but what about making sure that that growth is sustainable?
Yeah. How do you actually build for the long haul?
Right, like how do you make sure that you're not just growing for a little while and then you kind of fizzle out?
Right. Well, that's where Rees introduces this concept of growth engines. And these are specific models that can fuel a company's sustainable growth over the long term.
Ooh, okay, I like this.
And he outlines 3 main types: the sticky engine, the viral engine, and the paid engine.
Okay, let's break those down because I think those sound really interesting.
Okay.
How do they actually work in the real world?
Yeah. So the sticky engine is all about keeping your existing customers happy and engaged.
Okay.
Think of a fitness app like Strava.
Okay, yeah.
They have built an incredibly sticky engine by focusing on community,
Right.
letting users connect with each other, share their workouts, challenge each other, all within the app.
It keeps them in the ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. It creates this sense of belonging,
Right.
and it keeps people coming back for more.
Okay, so it's about creating a product that's so engaging and valuable
Yeah,
that people just stick around.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what about this viral engine?
Yeah.
Is that all about social media?
It's definitely related. Okay. The viral engine leverages word of mouth and social sharing to drive that growth.
Okay.
So think about products like Instagram
Right.
or WhatsApp.
Okay.
They're inherently shareable people. People love to connect with their friends and share their experiences.
Yeah.
And each new user has the potential to bring in multiple more.
Right. It's exponential.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It creates this ripple effect of exponential growth.
So you're basically turning your users into your marketing team.
Exactly.
That's pretty brilliant.
It can be very effective.
Okay, now the paid engine sounds a little more straightforward.
Well, it is in a sense.
Okay.
The paid engine uses advertising and other paid marketing channels to attract new customers.
Right.
So companies like Salesforce, with their subscription-based model,
Okay.
have used this really successfully.
Okay.
They're willing to invest heavily in customer acquisition, because they know the lifetime value of each customer is high.
So it's a balancing act. You need to make sure that each customer that you acquire through these paid channels is ultimately bringing in more revenue than it cost to acquire them.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be tricky, especially for startups
Yeah.
who are maybe still figuring out, you know, how to calculate customer lifetime value accurately.
It's hard to predict the future.
Yeah, exactly.
So it sounds like finding the right mix of these growth engines tailored to your business model and, your target audience,
Yeah.
that's really key.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Right.
You need to constantly be monitoring and adjusting your approach based on what's working and what's not.
Okay.
Because, the startup world is constantly evolving. So flexibility is key.
That makes a lot of sense. And it actually leads perfectly into the next thing I wanted to talk about, because as you scale, choosing the right metrics to track your progress, that becomes even more important.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's no longer enough to rely on what Ries calls vanity metrics,
Oh, yeah.
those numbers that look good on paper, but they don't actually reflect real progress.
Right. So downloads might look good, but are people actually using the app?
Exactly.
Okay. So what kind of metrics should startups be focusing on then?
Well, that's where innovation accounting comes in.
Oh, okay. This sounds interesting.
Yeah. So Release argues that we need to shift our focus to what he calls actionable metrics.
Okay.
So those are metrics that give us real insights into customer engagement and business value,
So things like customer acquisition cost and customer lifetime value conversion rates?
Yeah, exactly.
Like stuff that tells you how effectively you're attracting and retaining customers?
Yeah, and how much value they're actually getting from your product or service.
That makes a lot of sense. But how do you figure out which of these metrics are the right ones?
Well, it really depends on the business. But Rees uses Airbnb as a great example.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they initially focused on website traffic, how many people were visiting their site.
That makes sense.
But they realized that that wasn't giving them a true picture of their success.
So what were they missing?
Well, they were getting tons of visitors, but how many of those visitors were actually booking stays and becoming repeat customers?
Right, because that's how they make money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they shifted their focus to tracking booking rates and repeat stays.
Okay.
Those metrics gave them much more actionable insights into user behavior.
Right. It's about looking beyond those surface level numbers and really getting to the heart of what's driving your business.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a great example.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads into this other thing we were talking about.
Okay.
This idea of scaling too quickly.
Oh, yeah.
This premature scaling.
This is a big one.
Yeah, because I feel like it's so tempting to just want to grow, but it can backfire so easily.
Oh, absolutely.
So what are some of the red flags to watch out for, for startups that might be, headed down that path?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest red flags is a lack of clear product market fit. So, if you're constantly tweaking your product, struggling to keep customers, or spending a fortune on marketing just to acquire new ones, those are all signs that you might be trying to scale before you've truly validated your idea.
So it's like trying to build a penthouse
Right.
before you've poured the concrete for the
Yeah.
first floor.
Exactly. You're building on a shaky foundation.
Right. You're going to run into problems.
Yeah, exactly. And Rees actually uses WeWork as a cautionary tale.
Oh, that's a good one.
They grew incredibly fast,
Yeah.
but their underlying business model wasn't as solid as it seemed.
Right. And it all kind of came crashing down.
Exactly. And when they tried to go public, their lack of consistent profitability and that shaky foundation, it was all exposed.
It's a good reminder that sustainable growth
Yeah.
is about more than just, acquiring customers and increasing revenue.
Right.
You need to have that solid foundation.
Yeah, it's got to be built to last.
Exactly. Okay, so what are some takeaways, for startups that are trying to avoid this whole premature scaling trap?
Well, first and foremost, validate demand.
No.
Make sure there's a real market for your product before you go all in on expansion.
So don't assume that just because you think it's a good idea,
Right.
everyone else will.
Exactly. And then iterate based on customer feedback.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to make changes as you go.
Right, because you're going to learn so much as you
Absolutely.
actually start putting it out there.
You have to.
Okay. And probably most importantly,
Yeah.
scale gradually.
Yeah.
Focus on building a solid base
Yeah.
before you try to, conquer the world.
Exactly. Take it one step at a time.
All right. This has been an incredibly insightful look at, the challenges and opportunities of scaling a startup.
Yeah. It's a wild ride.
It is, but, we've covered so much ground from agile methodologies to growth engines to this whole danger of premature scaling. But before we move on, I want to turn it back over to you for a final thought.
Oh, yeah.
What really stood out to you from all of this?
What really strikes me is how Ries emphasizes the importance of being really deliberate and thoughtful in your approach to growth.
Okay.
It's not about just blindly chasing numbers,
Yeah.
It's about understanding your customers,
Mm.
building a strong foundation, and scaling in a way that's both sustainable and true to your values.
I love that it's not just about getting bigger, it's about getting better.
Exactly.
And those are insights that apply to all of us, not just startups.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether you're running a business, leading a team, or pursuing a personal goal,
Yeah.
understanding these principles can help you achieve success
Yeah,
in a way that's both, meaningful and sustainable.
I think so.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
But before we wrap up this part of our conversation, I
Yeah.
want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay, I like it.
What are the metrics that really matter in your work or your pursuits?
Ooh,
Are you focusing on the things that truly drive success and fulfillment for you?
that's a great question.
I think it's something we all need to ask ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a powerful question.
It is, and it's so easy to get caught up in chasing those vanity metrics.
Right.
The ones that look good on the surface but don't actually reflect what truly matters.
Exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
don't compare your insides to someone else's outsides.
That's good.
We all have different goals, different definitions of success.
Right.
So it's really important to figure out what truly moves the needle for you.
Yeah, and that's where I think this whole idea of innovation accounting can be so valuable.
Absolutely.
It's not just about tracking numbers.
Right.
It's about choosing the right numbers, the
Yeah.
ones that actually give you real insight into whether you're making progress towards the things that you actually care about.
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear innovation accounting and they think, oh, that sounds complicated.
Yeah,
But it's really not.
right.
It's about being smart and intentional about what you measure.
Right, and asking yourself, like, okay, so let's say you're building an app. You're super excited to see, thousands of downloads.
Right, you're hitting those milestones.
Yeah, but if most of those people abandon the app after a few days,
Right.
is that really a success?
It's not.
No, and that's a perfect example of a vanity metric.
Exactly.
It might look good at first glance,
Yeah.
but it's not telling you the whole story.
Right. Innovation accounting pushes you to dig a little bit deeper.
Yes.
Ask those tough questions,
Okay.
like, are users finding real value?
Okay.
Are they coming back for more?
Right. Are they engaging with the features that matter most to your business?
Yeah.
Are they doing the things that actually move the needle?
Exactly. And remember that Airbnb example we talked about earlier?
Oh, yeah.
They realized that simply tracking website traffic wasn't really giving them a clear picture
Right.
of whether they were actually succeeding in their mission
Yeah.
of, connecting travelers with unique places to stay.
Right. They were getting tons of visitors to their site, but how many were actually booking stays
Exactly.
and becoming those repeat customers?
Yeah, because that's the behavior.
That's the thing that matters.
Yeah, that actually matters to their business.
So what did they do instead?
So they shifted their focus to tracking booking rates
Okay.
and repeat stays.
Okay, so they really honed in on those key metrics.
Yeah, these metrics gave them much more actionable insights into user behavior.
Right. It's such a subtle shift,
Yeah,
but it makes such a big difference
it does.
in terms of really understanding what's driving success.
Yeah, it's about aligning your metrics with your ultimate goals.
Okay.
So, for example, if your goal is to create a vibrant community around your product,
Right.
then maybe tracking things like user engagement,
Okay.
forum activity,
Right.
social sharing.
Right.
That might be more valuable than simply looking at download numbers.
It's about finding the metrics that actually tell you whether or not you're achieving what you set out to do.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all of this connects.
Yeah.
It's about identifying those key metrics that will help you make informed decisions
Right.
and guide your growth strategy.
Absolutely.
Now, I do want to circle back to this idea of scaling too quickly,
Okay.
because I think it's something that a lot of startups struggle with.
Oh, for sure.
We've talked about the risks of premature scaling, but I'm curious, what are some practical tips for avoiding those pitfalls?
I think the first step is honestly just acknowledging the pressure to grow quickly.
Yeah.
It's everywhere,
It is, yeah.
It's like this constant drumbeat. But I think it's crucial to remember that sustainable growth is a marathon, not a sprint.
Ooh, I like that.
Focus on building a solid foundation first.
So don't try to build the penthouse before you've even poured the concrete for the
Exactly.
ground floor.
Make sure you've truly validated that product market fit
Right.
before you start throwing resources at expansion.
So it's about being strategic and data-driven
Yeah.
rather than just blindly chasing growth.
Right. Ask yourself those tough questions.
Like what kind of questions?
Like, are you solving a real problem
Okay.
for a significant number of people? Are you able to acquire customers in a way that's profitable?
Right.
Can you scale your operations without sacrificing quality or efficiency?
Those are good questions.
These are the things you need to be able to answer honestly before you hit the gas pedal.
Right. So be honest with yourself
Yeah,
and, build that strong foundation
exactly.
before you start reaching for the sky.
And that ties back into the whole idea of choosing the right metrics.
Right.
You need to be able to track your progress and make sure you're growing in a way that's both healthy and sustainable.
Right. It's all connected.
Yeah,
The metrics you choose should reflect your current stage of growth
exactly.
and help you make informed decisions about how to allocate your resources.
Yes, prioritize your efforts.
Okay. This has been an incredibly valuable conversation.
That's been fun.
It has. It really has. And it's amazing how all these pieces kind of fit together to create this framework for approaching growth in a way that's both strategic and sustainable.
Yeah, and what I think is so powerful about Ries's insights is that they're not just limited to the startup world.
Right.
These principles can be applied to any business,
Yeah.
any project, really any pursuit where you're looking to grow and scale your impact.
Absolutely. Whether you're launching a new product, building a team, or even pursuing a personal goal,
Yeah.
these concepts can help you navigate those challenges and opportunities of growth in a way that's both effective and fulfilling.
Yeah. It's about having a clear vision,
Right.
a solid foundation,
Yeah.
and a willingness to learn and adapt along the way.
Right. It's a journey.
It is.
And it's about recognizing that growth isn't just about getting bigger.
Right.
It's about getting better.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today, but before we wrap up part 2,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with another question to ponder.
Okay.
Think about your own work or pursuits.
Okay.
What are some of the ways that you might be unintentionally contributing to this problem of premature scaling?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Are there areas where you could benefit from slowing down, validating your assumptions, or focusing on building a stronger foundation before pushing for that rapid growth?
Yeah. That's something we all need to think about.
Yeah, that's a really good question to think about because I think we've all been there, you know,
Yeah.
where we get so excited about an idea or a project.
Right.
We just want to hit the ground running.
Yeah, just go, go, go.
But sometimes, slowing down can actually be the fastest way to reach your ultimate destination.
It's so true. And I think it's because we live in this culture that glorifies, rapid growth and instant success.
Right.
But real lasting success takes time.
It does.
There it is.
And a willingness to course correct along the way.
Absolutely. It's about building something sustainable,
Right.
something that can stand the test of time.
Yeah. And I think it's also about recognizing that growth for the sake of growth
Yeah.
isn't always a good thing.
Right.
If you're not growing in a way that's aligned with your values and your goals,
Right.
it might be time to reevaluate your strategy.
Absolutely. Growth should never come at the expense of your core principles
Right.
or the well-being of your team.
Yeah. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing yourself forward,
Yeah.
but you're also staying true to what matters most.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really powerful message and one that resonates far beyond just, the world of startups.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether you're running a business, leading a team,
That-
or just trying to navigate your own personal journey.
Yeah.
These principles can help you approach growth
Yeah.
in a way that's both fulfilling and sustainable.
It's about finding that balance between ambition and intention,
I like that.
between pushing your limits, but also staying grounded in what truly matters.
Yeah, and recognizing that, the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Couldn't agree more.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me.
Yes, for me too.
We've covered so much ground.
Yeah, we have.
From the importance of agility to the power of innovation accounting to the dangers of premature scaling.
Right.
But ultimately, I think it all boils down to this.
What's that?
Growth should be a conscious choice.
It should.
not just something that happens to you.
Yeah, you have to take ownership of it.
It's about taking ownership of your growth trajectory,
Absolutely.
making decisions that are aligned with your long-term vision and values.
And building something that you can be proud of.
Yeah.
Something that has a positive impact on the world around you.
I love that.
Yeah.
And, we've talked a lot about the practical aspects of scaling and growth.
Right.
But I think it's important to acknowledge the emotional and mental side of this journey as well.
Oh, absolutely.
It can be a roller coaster ride, full of highs and lows.
For sure.
And it's crucial to have that resilience and that support system to help you navigate those ups and downs.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship and growth in any context can be incredibly challenging.
It can be really tough.
So it's important to surround yourself with people who believe in you,
Yeah,
who can offer guidance and support when you need it most.
absolutely. And take care of yourself
Yeah.
along the way.
Prioritize your well-being.
Yeah, don't sacrifice your health or happiness in the pursuit of success.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I think that's so important to remember.
Hey, guys.
Success isn't just about reaching that finish line.
Right.
It's about enjoying the journey and making sure that you're growing as a person along the way.
Yeah. Well said.
And recognizing that growth is a continuous process,
It is.
not a destination.
There's always more to learn, more to explore.
More to achieve.
Couldn't agree more.
This has been such an inspiring and insightful conversation.
It really has.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this topic.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm excited to continue exploring these ideas
Yeah.
and applying them to my own work and life.
You too.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Go for it.
Remember, growth is a journey, not a race.
Love it.
Take the time to build that solid foundation, choose your metrics wisely,
Yeah.
and never be afraid to course correct along the way.
So important.
Most importantly, stay true to yourself,
Yes.
your values, and
Yeah.
your vision.
Absolutely.
That's all for today's deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep learning, keep growing,
Yeah.
and keep pushing those boundaries.